I think that the Microsoft Corporation has magicians working for them. No matter what I do, it stops the download. And either way, I've tried downloading it with yes, I won't save my files. Of course, that was my first choice. And then after being frustrated and everything by it all, I said, well, hell with it. Just go ahead and erase the whole thing and put Windows 10 in there. Now, this thing was advertised on eBay. It gets to about 85%. And then it sends you, boom, to the same website. No, regardless of whatever I've tried to do. And I know this has got to be something embedded now inside of my machine. I mean, how else could this be happening? I mean, there couldn't be that broad of a international conspiracy. Every time I've tried to download it, tried downloading it with a DVD. I had to get a double-sided DVD. And I ended up in the same place on the internet at the Microsoft main site with a big sign going, your DDR3 machine is too old. You need to get a new PC and Windows 11. End the story from them. I just think that is so crappy to do that. I have no idea. So anyway, I did this thing yesterday. Spent hours. Now I don't mind putting the work in because I learn from it, but I really just want to get an operating machine, an operating system working. Now, granted, I let it all go for a long, long time. I had given up on all of it, but I am subsequently ungiven up on it all. So now I want it all to work. This machine is working great. This is the Linux machine. And I'm sure if I load Linux into my Windows machine, which I have the ISO right here, I'm tempted. I've been staring at it for a week or two. And this was going to be, one of my last resorts. I was going to go, okay, I'm going to spend money on this one more time. This is my machine. This is my motherboard. It's an MSI gaming. All right, it's a DDR3. Still kind of a hot rod. I'm not going to game on it. My little laptop that's got Manjaro on it, that little laptop runs everything great, including OBS. I know that DDR3's been around since 2007. Wants have changed since those days. Since I started doing these vlogs and stuff, or whatever you want to call these things. I don't know what they are. Videos for YouTube. Because I know that audio works fine on DDR3. I mean, if I can run Pro Tools or Steinberger or Cakewalk or even Ardour, on a DDR3 machine, I don't see any problems. And I really don't see any problem for running OBS. That was just I don't know what's going on. It's what Windows is doing. How Windows is reacting to my behavior. It's trying to tell me what to do, and I'm trying to go, screw you. I mean, if you don't do what I want you to do, well, I'm just gonna can you. And so to get back to the Ardour thing, I've been on Ardour now for the most part. I've been doing that more than I've been messing with my Windows machine and the Pro Tools setup. I have gone on there and I've made some beats on there, but I have so many beats in setting up Ardour on this machine. I've cruised around and found all these like loop places just that are amazing. So I have tons of loops. I even have a couple of AI music things I went to that are kind of worthless really for making music songs, but for developing like a track or getting some odd drum beats, I think they're great. There was a song that I was trying to write and I needed a beat for it, and rather than go on to Pro Tools and create a beat and then go through the hassles of Pro Tools having to bounce it onto it, takes a minute here to throw a beat on Ardour. So anyway, that's all working out. Ardour's such a nice modern, really when I go onto Pro Tools machine, which I've done a couple of times in the last week or two, I fool around in Pro Tools and then I come here and and I'm learning Ardour or Ardour, and it's just amazing to me. Much nicer. I'm starting to feel comfortable with it. But it's like anything, once you get to know it, it's easy and comfortable. And when you don't know it, it's scary and awkward. I mean, feel like you could probably run Pro Tools or a complicated or even something like Ardour and never really learn everything. You get to a certain point where you get out of it what you want out of it as a musician or a songwriter like me and a musician. I'm not going any farther. I have the same sort of mentality when it comes to the terminals in Linux. I know enough. Again, I use 10% of what they'll do. I'm not looking for a zillion exotic beats. I'm still really enjoying, going through all this Linux stuff. As much as I'm complaining about that old, Microsoft and even Pro Tools. Well, that was the other thing, is I've learned about Wine and Yawbridge, which are protocols that were developed here in Linux in order to, I think Yawbridge, I'm not exactly sure what it does, but I think it opens the door to VST plugins or certain forms of VSTs, VST3s, or, then again, I'm not so sure if it, but I know that it opens the door to plugins that are proprietary for a Windows environment and a Mac environment. And it also has another protocol called Wine that will let you run Windows software plus plugins and all of that kind of stuff. So I know there's problems with that, but I think if everything's configured properly, that stuff's not that hard to do. And I have a lot of faith in this AV Linux, the way it's set up. It's another thing I like about it. It's pretty much just uses the jack protocol or system. There's no pipe wire involved in this. And I did get jack working fine in my little laptop, but it took me really a long time to figure out that Manjaro installed pipe wire. And pipe wire and jack were having this huge conflict, and I could never get it to happen. And that was the same thing that was going on in this machine when I first got it. I downloaded a KDE version, which is even, I guess, harder to, somebody wants to just get started playing music, learn. You have to learn the software, but AV Linux MX21 is the way to go. I have not tried Ubuntu Studio. Well, that's another idea. Maybe I'll go to Ubuntu. Ardour, I have it down pretty good now. I've got it, where I can record and hear everything back. I am having some little issues with latency, but it's not that bad. It's all about me hearing it before it gets there just slightly. So it sounds almost like a tiny reverby thing. But I think I can solve that. I just haven't gotten to the right spot. But I have to stop and read about it, and I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm sure that has to do with my monitoring Guitar X, and that was pretty much fun. Once I got the 11 rack, now it's kind of it. Yeah, and here's the beauty of my 11 rack. I am kind of worried about it being the sound card for Linux. See if it'll work. I might have to go through all kinds of contortions with that, but I still have my little Steinberger 2 in and 2 out with MIDI in it. So, but my 11 rack will work standalone, analog. So I literally can just have it, my guitar, and my vocals plugged in, and get whatever effects I want pre-recording, and it'll use way less power, is what I'm thinking. It won't have to process the signal. The signal's already going to be processed in my 11 rack. I can also run my 11 rack clean if I want. I'm sure that as soon as I turn this off, I'll think of other crap I could have bumped my gums about, but that's going to be it. I did get my ears lowered myself. I still have not gone to a barber shop since the plague. And my last video I cleaned up my Strat, so I have put it in. I run it with Guitar X, runs perfect. Intonation's great on it. I got that guitar has just stayed pretty much perfect for about 40 years. Anyway, I'm getting there. I'm gonna probably finish up my first song in Ardour in a couple of weeks, and I'll be shipping that out to the people I have on my mailing list. Buenas noches and adios, mi amigos y mi amigas.